Chapter 1 of Mrs. Raffles. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Mrs. Raffles by John Kendrick Bangs. Chapter 1 The Adventure of the Herald Personal. That I was in a hard case is best attested by the fact that when I paid for my Sunday Herald, there was left in my purse just one tuppence halfpenny stamp and 2 copper cents, one dated 1873, the other 1894. The mere incident that at this hour 18 months later I can recall the dates of those coins should be proof, if any were needed, of the importance of the coppers in my eyes, and therefore of the relative scarcity of funds in my possession. Raffles was dead, killed, as you may remember, at the battle of Spion Kop, and I, his companion, who had never known want while his deft fingers were able to carry out the plans of that insinuating and marvellous mind of his, was now, in the vernacular of the American, up against it. I had come to the United States, not because I had any liking for that country or its people, who, to tell the truth, are too sharp for an ordinary burglar like myself, but because with the war at an end I had to go somewhere, and English soil was not safely to be trod by one who was required for professional reasons to evade the eagle eye of Scotland Yard until the statute of limitations began to have some bearing upon his case. That last affair of Raffles and mine, wherein we had successfully got away with the diamond stomacher of the Duchess of Herondale, was still a live matter in British detective circles, and the very audacity of the crime had definitely fastened the responsibility for it upon our shoulders. Hence, it was America for me, where one could be as English as one pleased without being subject to the laws of His Majesty, King Edward VII, of Great Britain and Ireland and sundry other possessions which upon the sun rarely if ever sets. For 2 years I had led a precarious existence, not finding in the land of silk and money quite as many of those opportunities to add to the sum of my prosperity as the American war correspondent I had met in the Transvaal had led me to expect. Indeed, after 6 months of successful lecturing on the subject of the Boers before various lyceums in the country, I was reduced to a state of penury which actually drove me to thievery of the pettiest and most vulgar sort. There was little in the way of mean theft that I did not commit. During the coal famine, for instance, every day passing the coal yards to and fro, I would appropriate a single piece of the precious anthracite until I had come into possession of a scuttleful, and this I would sell to the suffering poor at prices varying from 3 shillings to $2.50. A precarious living indeed. The only respite I received for 6 months was in the rape of a hansom cab, which I successfully carried through one bitter cold night in January. I hired the vehicle at Madison Square, and drove to a small tavern on the Boston Post Road, where the icy cold of the day gave me an excuse for getting my cabby drunk in the guise of kindness. Him safely disposed of in a drunken stupor, I drove his jaded steed back to town, earned $15 with him before daybreak, and then, leaving the cab in the Central Park, sold the horse for $18 to a snow removal contractor over on the East Side. It was humiliating to me, a gentleman born, and a partner of so illustrious a person as the late A.J. Raffles, to have to stoop to such miserable doings to keep body and soul together, but I was forced to confess that, whatever Raffles had left to me in the way of example, I was not his equal either in the conception of crime or in the nerve to carry a great enterprise through. My biggest coups had a way of failing at the very beginning, which was about the only blessing I enjoyed, since none of them progressed far enough to imperil my freedom, and, lacking confederates, I was of course unable to carry through the profitable series of abductions in the world of high finance that I had contemplated. Hence my misfortunes, and now, on this beautiful Sunday morning, penniless but for the coppers and the postage stamp, with no breakfast in sight, and fortunately enough not even an appetite, I turned to my morning paper for my solace. Running my eye up and down the personal column, which has for years been my favorite reading on Sunday mornings, I found the usual assortment of matrimonial enterprises recorded, pathetic appeals from P.D. to meet Q. on the corner of 23rd Street at 3, imploring requests from J.A.K. to return at once to his only mother, who promises to ask no questions, and finally, could I believe my eyes now riveted upon the word? My own sobriquet, printed as boldly and as plainly as though I were some patent cure for all known human ailments. It seemed incredible, but there it was beyond all peradventure. Wanted, a butler, Bunny preferred. Applied to Mrs. A. J. Van Raffles, Bolivar Lodge, Newport, Rhode Island. To whom could that refer if not to myself? And what could it mean? Who was this Mrs. A. J. Van Raffles, a name so like that of my dead friend that it seemed almost identical? My curiosity was roused to a concert pitch. If this strange
Sample complete. Ready to continue?